Deep into the jungles of South American forests is said to live a dreaded group of malevolent sorcerers cast out from the civilization, and for a very good reason. These are not the benevolent shamans or medicine people who help cure illnesses and lift evil curses from their fellow citizens. They are monstrous people consumed by a insatiable need for revenge, not always justified in the eyes of law. A following is not for the faint of heart, nor for those of weak stomach. What the malevolent shamans called Kanaima, the evil medicine men and women who got consumed by the darkness, is a stuff of horror movie, but it's happening in real life. Up until this very day, in 21st century, people do come to with horrible internal damages from the attacks of these evil people, and until this very day, do their families and friends seek out justice by banishing or hanging the person they suspect of causing this irreparable damage. We know they are feared and hated, and we know the people have a reason to do so, but what are the Kanaima? Well, there's no one answer really. In their purest form, Kanaima are spirits. Evil and malevolent spirits that belong to a world different from ours, but which can be contacted and made pacts with by a skilled medicine people who know the arcanes of good and evil sorcery. The dreaded shamans plead with the Kanaima spirits to bless them with their power and willfully get possessed by them to gain all their powers and strengths. But the possession itself is not enough. There's certain act that such possessed shamans need to perform of their own free will to gain sympathy of the spirits and gather energy necessary for bodily transformation into a ferocious animal, which is what Kanaimas, both spirits and shamans, are known of. And let me tell you, this act is nothing like previously mentioned jumping over a stump in Abrat or crawling under tree branches as Vilcasis. It's ritual murder preceded by incredible torture of the victim. The shaman is armed with obtained fangs of venomous snake with venom glands still full and intact, or any other piercing damage-inducing thing smeared with snake venom or other potent toxin. In their bags, they carry potent herbs, but not for healing wounds. The herbs inside Kanaima's bag are there to start the process of rotting and fermentation. Kanaima shaman then selects a victim and stalks them for some time to get to know their routine better and to know when and where to strike so that the victim will be alone and vulnerable. If the shaman is not physically fit and strong or is unexperienced, the first victim usually tends to be either elderly or a child, as these two usually have lower defenses than healthy adults. The first attack is nothing special, just a way to injure the victim, like break their hand or draw blood, stuff like that. It's to ensure that when the evil shaman comes back, the victim will be easy to incapacitate and hold down. When the shaman believes the time is right, they strike again, and that's where the real horror begins. They ambush their victim when they are alone and no one is there to hear them screaming for help. The possessed shaman brings them down or ties them up so that they cannot move or run away, and then they begin their gruesome torture, nicknamed among the locals as the salt sorcery. First, they bring the snake fangs or other piercing item and pierce the tongue of the victim with it. The residual venom or any other toxin shaman wants to use will create painful swelling and infection of the tongue. Then, they turn their victim over and rip the lower parts of clothes off. They take anything that fits the purpose, like a large branch laying around, something sharp and long, and forcefully insert deep into the anus of the victim. The damage causes great amount of pain, but also internal bleeding and possibly diarrhea, as the item is forced so deep it damages the intestinal structure. The victim is now bleeding out, dehydrating, in great pain and stress, and cannot do anything about it. Meanwhile, the evil sorcerer rams the fermentative herbs deep inside the open wounds and inside the victim's body. As the victim starts pretty much rotting from the inside, the shaman rips their belly open and cuts out a sensor muscle like one from bladder or from the stomach. The shaman then presumably eats it, as they believe this muscle contains the most of maybe the powerful psychic energy created when the person is in great stress and pain. Yes, the aforementioned torture was only so that the one little muscle they tear from the body would be loaded with that they believe gives them magic power. The evil sorcerer then leaves the victim to die, hoping that the person will eventually succumb to their wounds. If this happens, they carefully observe what has been done to the body and where it has been buried. Let's be real, if they have not been found by a bypasser or a family member quickly enough, they are meant to die there, and even if they are found alive and transported to the hospital, There's little chance of surviving such an ordeal, and if they do not survive, the shaman can continue their ritual. When the body has been buried, the Kanaima, which waits 4 days onwards, and on 4th night, they visit the grave of their victim. There, they unearth the corpse and drink the rotting, fermenting bodily fluids that gathered in the deceased body. As you may guess, they too do it so they can gather more meba from the rotting body, as they believe it to be more cooked than raw one. Keep in mind, the spirits and the shaman alike need a lot of this magical energy to do their work, and that means a lot of victims. All tortured and slaughtered in the same repetitive, gruesome manner, and all treated without an ounce of mercy nor anesthesia. When enough energy had been gathered that way, the evil shaman can finally transform their physical body, cell by cell, into a great and ferocious jaguar, or a crocodile, or any other wild predatory beast you can think of. And then, blessed with such power, they can go on about executing their revenge upon whoever had wronged or offended them. Yes, all the pain and torture of innocent, unsuspecting victims, mostly children ones, just so they can get back at whoever they think offended them. I don't know who the fuck came up with that ritual, but they need an instant lobotomy. Imagine hurting, kidnapping, and torturing a child to death just because your neighbor's dog shat on your grass and now you can turn into jaguar and devour them, or your boss fired you from job, so you go on and bleed innocent kid or granny to death. So now you can shift into a crocodile and bite bosses head. Seriously, what's wrong with people? Look, I know the feeling of need for revenge all too well, but never in my life I imagine myself going out and torturing an innocent person who cannot defend themselves to death just to get even with the guy who cheated on me or a friend who lied to me for 4 years. You better believe I have had harbor grudge against many people, but not in my wildest dreams would I ever consider torturing a child to death just to feel like they know how they made me feel. There are some things you just don't do if you're a sane individual, and this is one of them. And if whatever spirits you work with demand you to go out and torture kids like if you were siphoning adrenochrome from them while on crack, you are better off these spirits, and they are better off without anyone. Such spirits are not worthy having union with, not even for the greatest of powers on this earth, and certainly not for the sake of petty revenge. And if you want to become a shapeshifter, but my previous videos were not in your taste and wolf is not a form you feel resonating with, my next video just may get you covered. Stay tuned.